Welcome to the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report is your preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda and an update from your Oshkosh City Manager. Your hosts, Emily Mikowski of Oshkosh Community Media and City Manager Mark Roloff.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on Your City Manager's Report. I'm your host, Emily Mikowski, joined as always by your City Manager, Mark Roloff. And this is the program that we have to give you a little bit of a preview of the upcoming City Council meeting agenda, as well as some hot topics coming up here in Oshkosh. So we're going to go ahead and dive into our hot topics first half of the show, take a little break, and then return with a review of the council meeting agenda for this Tuesday, January 27th, 2015. So without further ado, I introduce you to our City Manager, Mark Roloff. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mark.
Great to be here, Emily.
So we've got a lot to talk about today. First thing is it's flu season, and it's upon us. We can't avoid it. And Winnebago County Emergency Management had a little bit of a message that they wanted to get out that the emergency use for flu-like different things is at an influx right now.
Yeah, and we're getting a lot of EMS, emergency medical services, seeing a 40% increase in calls related to the flu. Mm-hmm. And certainly we want to make sure that if there's a genuine emergency that all of our EMS providers, not just the city of Oshkosh, but anybody through the county, but a 40% increase is really something. So, if you've got these symptoms, chances are you do have a flu. Does that necessarily require emergency response, calling 911? Not necessarily, but it's these symptoms: cough, sore throat, stuffy, runny nose, fever, headache, fatigue, body aches, and yuck.
Flu
I mean,
system.
It's really bad, but it's not. That doesn't warrant calling 911. And when you do call 911 for something like this, you could actually be. When you call 911, we need to respond. If you tell us we're going to come, but you could be tying us up for a genuine emergency like a heart attack or a car accident. So we want you to be very cautious. But, if you've got difficulty breathing or shortness of breath, pain or pressure in your chest or abdomen, sudden dizziness or confusion, or severe or persistent vomiting, we absolutely
those are considered
call
emergencies.
us. Absolutely call us. But there's a lot to learn about with influenza. This year the shots aren't as effective as they were. But check out the CDC, the Center for Disease Control website, www.cdc.gov/flu. Learn a little bit more about it. But Fire Chief Tim Franz has told us that with that increase, he's concerned that while we're attending to somebody with the flu, while you might be miserable and in need of some medical attention, you're not necessarily in need of emergency medical attention. So please use discretion when that's the case. But shortness of breath, chest pains, call us.
Those
please,
major things.
Please call us for those types of things.
Otherwise, I know that they did reiterate that it's important, if you do have flu-like symptoms, just to call your doctor or your health person, and they can give you some tips and tricks on how to, help deal with those. But I think the main thing is just taking care of yourself. If you, wash your hands, make sure you stay away from people who are sick with the flu, and hopefully you can avoid it the best you can. So.
Yeah, that prevention is always the big thing.
Yes, and so far you and I think, are doing pretty well. We haven't gotten the flu in our studio quite yet.
Knock on wood.
So Mark, our next item here is a sex offender workshop coming up on Monday. And what exactly is the whole layout and format of this workshop? It's not necessarily a public forum.
No, a workshop with council is really an opportunity for the council to dive into an issue with a little more detail, because so often at the council meetings there's just not enough time. So they're setting aside 2 hours on Monday. The workshop is on Monday, the 26th, I believe it is, at 6 p.m. at in the council chambers, 404. The whole idea is to, first of all, understand what the universe of regulations are regarding sex offenders. Different communities do it different ways. There's no right way or wrong way, but we've had residents that are concerned about the concentration of the number of registered sex offenders. So we want to make sure that the council understands what sex offenders are registered, when we get notice, what we do with that. And then here's the range of options. Here's the range of ordinances that do exist, understanding the pros and cons with everything. It can cost more in enforcement time. It can actually backfire, which we want to avoid most of all. The worst thing that could happen is sex offenders go underground by not reporting where they live. Right now, they do report where they live, and we've got pretty good tabs on where everybody is.
People aren't getting hidden away or, brushed under the rug type of thing.
Yeah, because sometimes restrictions can be so much that they will say, well, there's nowhere I can live, therefore I won't report, so I can just live somewhere. It potentially adds to the homeless problem. There have been issues, not as much in colder states, but they exist here too, where the people are homeless because nobody will permit them to go. So we want to walk through all the different types of ordinances that exist. We also want to show that there's some enforcement activities that are required under those ordinances that we're already doing. So we don't want to have something in place that we're already doing anyway. So we don't want to unnecessarily have a regulation in either. And that's very important. And then talk about the costs and talk about what some of the other issues are relative to maybe things we can do to address concentration of sex offenders through other means, not directly have a sex offender ordinance, but some things we could do with our zoning ordinances perhaps that would address that maybe as a symptom, but not directly address sex offenders by
more of a general zoning ordinance.
A general zoning ordinance that limits the number of people that are unrelated that can live in a residence. That would apply to everybody, not just sex offenders. But there's a variety of options, and I think council wanted to know about what those options might be.
Okay, so this workshop, it's to educate council on, what we are doing, what we could be doing, different things. And so there is no public input at this. When are people able to go to something that it is more of a forum atmosphere?
Because this is so broad, we want to give council the opportunity to see the universe of options available. As they narrow it down themselves, but before they adopt anything, council has said they want to have workshops and forums for the public to comment. But if we're too broad, generally when you go too broad, the public doesn't show up. When you get a little more meat on the bones, then the public will tend to show up a little more. So we're going to focus in on things that the council would be leaning towards, and then get public feedback on that before an ordinance is finally adopted. So Monday, January 26th, 6 p.m., it's in 404 of City Hall. You can, of course, watch it on our meetings online and live on City Cable 10.
Yes, so again, 6 p.m., Monday, January 26th. Mark, the next item that we have on our list here to talk about is a really kind of a positive item here. It's called the OPD No Time for Crime Project. It's been going on for about 3 years now, and we had a great year this year.
This is a wonderful program that's not just with Oshkosh Police Department, although they're a huge lead agency, but it's our officers, our community service officers, detectives, and Winnebago County. And it targets third graders because we really want them to, the old adage that we've been using is know us before you need us. So we want to put a friendly face with our law enforcement community and young people so they see that the positive nature of police work. And also, it's the old adage, that idle hands are the devil's playground. They really are involved in getting the kids active, so there's a wellness factor to it as well. But it's building community partnerships with the schools, the teachers, the students. We've got a lot of great programs. The DARE program is so successful. Our officers reaching out in the neighborhoods, that's very positive. But we want to have a positive influence on kids and show them that police officers are their friends. They're somebody you can turn to in times of need. And then get the kids active as well, and that's another positive outcome with it.
What better way to do that than an obstacle course? I know when I was a kid, we walked into the gym, we saw an obstacle course, and that was like the best day ever. So I know that this was a huge success. It looks like they were at 18 different Winnebago County schools. Over 850 children participated, which is just huge. And
when they do that every year, they're hitting another different group of 850 plus kids. So over the past 3 years, they've probably had 2,500 different children that they've impacted, and that creates a positive impact for the whole community.
Yes, and so we're so proud of that. We're looking forward to continuing that No Time for Crime project and seeing, it's just going to keep on taking off in the future.
And it's been recognized as a crime prevention program very widely, so it's very well regarded and admired by people in the law enforcement community. So we're really proud of the fact that it exists right here in Oshkosh.
Yes, and the Oshkosh Police are up to a lot of different things. Make sure you check out their Facebook page. They're always making updates on there, so you can check out what they're up to, every week. Our next item here, Mark, Go Transit has a kind of a cool update here. They now have passes available at the Oshkosh Public Library. So this is kind of big news.
There was a demand. People were asking because the library is a destination that people on the transit system use, and they said, well, can't we get passes there because we're going to the library anyway? But we just saw this as an opportunity. There's a lot of places you can get Go Transit passes, and here are all the locations. We're just now adding our public library, but you just don't have to go to the Go Transit office. We got them here at City Hall, St. Vincent de Paul, which is another great destination. The high schools and Associated Bank's always been a great partner with us for a variety of things, and Oshkosh Family Incorporated. So a lot of different locations where you can try out Go Transit. Give it a shot. You'll see that it's a very cheap alternative. Even though the price of gas has been going down, it's still only $1 to ride the bus. It's still a great value.
And for any other information, on pricing and anything else on Go Transit, check out their website at ridegotransit.com. And I gotta push the Facebook as well. They do a great job on their Facebook page as well.
They really do.
Yeah, make sure you follow them, and they give updates on any route changes or anything like that going on. Mark, our final item for Hot Topics here is the primary elections coming up on February 17th. We've got a mayoral candidates forum coming up on February 5th that you can check out and see who's running.
Well, primary elections at the local level are some of the least, the lowest turnout. So you always want your voice to be heard. So Tuesday, February 17th is primary election. Yes, it's only for one office, but it's for the office of mayor. And certainly we want people to be aware of it. And of course, the two winners of that, the highest two vote getters, go to the general election, which will be Tuesday, April 7th. And of course, we've got the candidates forum as well.
Yes, the League of Women Voters Candidates Forum, partnered with City Cable 10 and 101.9, will be broadcasting live from the City Council Chamber February 5th at 6:30 p.m. In 406 from City Council Chambers. So make sure you tune in for that, get educated, and make sure you get out and vote. So Mark, it's that time of the show where Question Mark is able to answer any questions that our viewers have to send in about things that are happening here in the city. So let's go ahead and take a look at what our Question Mark is this week. Mark, so the question this week, our tax bills just came out, so it's kind of a timely one. Is the $20 recycling fee a permanent fee, and how are the funds being used? So it's kind of a double whammy there for you.
I don't know if it's permanent, but it is a regular fee, and it will be continued to be charged annually for the time being. Couple things have happened over the years. Recycling is a mandate from the state of Wisconsin, and there used to be a program that helped fund part of that to do collection as well as the actual recycling, paying the recycling center to sort and prepare recyclables for market. The funding from the state has been going down in recent years. The market for recyclables goes up and down, and right now the market's pretty far down. There was at one time we were getting $300,000 a year for our recyclables. Now we're less than $75,000. So you've got that, and then the state has been making different cuts to funds for state and for local governments, and they've prohibited certain fees from being increased. But this is one that they haven't prohibited. So it was kind of a telegraphing that if you're going to enact a fee, it's really going to be a fee for recycling. And our recycling program costs us about $5,600,000 a year at least. So we're spending quite a bit of money, net cost I'm talking about.
Okay.
So we've got to come up with $400,000 annually, $20 fee covers the total net cost that we have. And so until something changes, this fee is going to be with us for the foreseeable future.
Okay. Any chance of it going down anytime soon, or it's kind of unlikely that that would happen?
I'd love that to happen, but what would have to happen for the fee to go down would be that the state starts funding it at the rate they used to fund it, or the market for recycling were to improve. If either of those happen, we could look at lowering that fee. But we've lost so much in reimbursements over the years that's why we had to enact the fee.
Excellent. Well, great question. Good to know. Always great questions from our viewers for Question Mark. If you do have a question for Mark, make sure to email it to questionmark@ci.oshkosh.wi.us, and he'll answer it on the next episode of City Managers Report. We're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we'll dive into the City Council meeting agenda for this Tuesday, January 27th, 2015. We'll be right back on City Managers Report.
Stay connected with Oshkosh Community Media Services and the City of Oshkosh. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube. Sign up for e-updates. More resources, including video, at OshkoshCommunityMedia.org. Oshkosh Community Media is your media on your schedule. Connect with us today.
Want to know what's happening in local government? Stay in the know with City of Oshkosh government meetings, live on TV, City Cable 10, online at OshkoshCommunityMedia.org, and on Community Radio, WOCT 101.9 FM. Miss the live coverage? No problem. Catch replays on City Cable 10. Stream online from OshkoshCommunityMedia.org or visit youtube.com/Oshkosh Community Media Services.
Welcome back to your City Managers Report. Thanks again for joining us. And now it's that time of the show that we're going to go through the City Council meeting agenda, give you some highlights for this coming City Council meeting on January 27th, 2015. So Mark, we'll get started right away here. First item is approving some spot blight designation. Whoa, that was a hard one for me to get through. At 1402 Mount Vernon Street, and this was requested by the Oshkosh-Winnebago County Housing Authority. So what exactly is this all about, having to do with a little bit of a redevelopment?
This is a redevelopment of a site that the Housing Authority has identified that they can put some mixed use, but primarily housing for low-income, disabled type of residents. And this property is something that they can take advantage of some special financing, but it is typically for blighted properties where they're really redeveloping it. Mm-hmm. And so you have to have a blight designation for the property. So since it's just a single area, it's called spot blight. It's certainly a rundown area, certainly would benefit from some redevelopment. So we're happy to cooperate with the Housing Authority so they can get this special financing.
Great, definitely a necessary approval here. Next approval here is initial resolution for special assessments. Now this is dealing with the Snell Road sanitary sewer. What exactly is this happening here?
We're putting in a replacement lift station that's going to be able to serve a larger area. There's certain areas where sewage doesn't flow gravity-wise, so you need a lift station to pump it to an area where it can gravity feed. And this is the area immediately west of the prison. We want to move this lift station to west of Highway 41. It'll help serve a larger area, and so it'll really benefit this larger area. We're going to have to put some other sewers in there, and part of that is to be paid partially through special assessments. So this is the first step in the process. Anybody who's impacted by this, we'll send them a notice, letting them know that we're thinking about it and what the potential cost is for them. But by law, we're required to have this initial resolution.
Great. That was my next question. This is just the beginning of it, so anyone who's going to be affected by it will be
early
hearing
step
about
one.
it. Great. Our next item here is with engineering service with AECom. And now this is with some construction that we noticed last fall, actually, with the Armory Area Detention Basin. And this is for $40,000. What exactly are we dealing with here?
There was some extra work that we identified once we got out into the field, specifically on some private properties. Specifically, if you recall, there was a lot of digging up that was going out over by the McDonald's restaurant on Keller. And we had to relocate a water lateral into McDonald's, and actually they had to shut down early one evening so we could take care of that for them. And so there were little things like that that we found on private property that we were responsible for taking care of. There was also some water service at the Armory and a few other things that we needed to do as we went through the project. And so our engineers are there to help keep the construction costs down. So they were in there, and this $40,500 is for those costs. We'll come back later with a change order for the actual construction cost, and that'll be about $350,000. But even with all that, we're still several $100,000 under budget for this project. So that's always good news.
Yes, still on track with that project. And this is an ongoing project, so we'll be able to see some more coming forward, especially as the spring comes around.
Well, we'll have other projects, but for the most part, we're pretty much done with this. This is the Armory Detention Pond. And I'm happy to report that I think we've seen the light at the end of the tunnel with this one.
Great. We love to hear that. Mark, our next topic here, kind of a popular item here, is the approval of some combination Class B licenses. How many licenses do we currently have right now, and how many are going to be given out?
Well, there's one that the council has had reserved for a number of years for the Marion Road area. That one's not in play here. There's 3 other ones that are in play. And the council, I've discussed it with council, and I don't know if we necessarily need to issue all these licenses. The council's not required to, and so I think that we want to be able to perhaps hold a couple of them in reserve just in case we get a redevelopment area that may want a restaurant that may need a liquor license. So we want to be very judicious in this. So council, I'm not necessarily sure what they're going to do, but I've given them some advice that I think maybe they need to hold on some of these. But we have 4 businesses that are interested in a license potentially. They're given an opportunity to make a pitch to council, and afterwards council can say thank you. They can either award them or wait to award them, or say yes to some and no to others. It is entirely council's discretion to do so.
Okay, so we don't necessarily have to look forward to any liquor licenses actually being awarded. It just kind of depends on how it goes on Tuesday.
However the spirit moves council. If they want to do it, we're giving them the ability to do it. I suspect they may award one and not do others, but they may or may not do it at that meeting.
Great. Next topic, Mark, is approving conditional use permit and some planned development for a drive-through bank here at the corner of Pearl Avenue and Jackson Street. What exactly is this project?
This is a project we've been working with a local bank to put a brand new office right there in the Marion Road area. They've actually outgrown with their current existing place over in City Center. So they're looking to develop with a $2 million development, so that'll infuse some property tax value into the Marion Road project area. It's near the old Morton Pharmacy, and they're going to do a drive-through, full service bank type of situation. So we're really excited. Adding $2 million worth of value will help pay off some of those costs that we've had with that TIF district. We spent a lot of money to demo the site and clean it up. So now we're going to start reaping some of the rewards of all our work.
Yes, and it's great to hear that we've got some positive developments in the Marion Road area. And Mark, our next item is kind of a little update, is establishing the 2015 stormwater utility rate to $136.60. Now, what's the purpose of this rate increase?
Well, we take a look at our capital needs for the year as well as our debt requirements. And we've been doing a lot of projects, and the number of projects are still continuing to increase versus what we did in the past. Because remember, for many years, we didn't do many, if any, projects. So it's really to continue to pay the debt that we're incurring. Our rates are still competitive with communities that have this fee, but we think it's necessary to maintain our good credit rating and get this debt paid off. So I think you're seeing the value with the different projects we're doing. We just talked about the one over by the Armory. That's the Campbell Creek area. We got a lot of other areas of the city that we need to cover. We've got some north side projects we're going to be working on. You're going to see a lot of work getting done. So I think you're going to see value for the money, but unfortunately, it does cost money to get these things done. So the rate increase is one of those unfortunate outcomes of all the work that we're doing.
Well, yeah, especially in stormwater, and I think you made a great point saying that it is a continuously ongoing project. It's, you see all these projects around the city, but it's a long road ahead of us, and we've got a lot of other projects to look forward to.
Yes, we do.
Next item here, adopting the 2015-2016 strategic plan, and this is a pretty regular item on here for, when we do have a strategic plan. So this is really just adopting the new one. We've
been doing one every other year, and we just finished our 2013-14 plan. We had a retreat with the council back in the summer of 14. This is sort of the culmination of all of our work. We've identified a lot of our goals for the year surrounding this strategic plan. So our focus has been on it. This is just the formal adoption.
Great. Not a lot has changed really. A few tweaks here and there, but mainly the same overall goals that we have here at the city.
Infrastructure, neighborhoods, economic development, improving processes, making sure our quality of life assets are there. Those are the hallmarks of our strategic plan. We just fine-tuned it a little bit, but it's still essentially a very positive document looking forward.
Yes. And Mark, our last item is the motion to go into closed session, and this is dealing with the Grand Opera House. What's the point of this closed session?
We just had a workshop this past Tuesday with the Grand Opera House Foundation Board, and we're negotiating a new lease with them. So we're just going to closed session to talk about terms and conditions before we enter negotiations with them.
Wonderful. And we did, yes, like you just said, have a workshop, so you can check out our website if you're interested in seeing that workshop at oshkoshcommunitymedia.org. So Mark, that's going to go ahead and conclude this episode of City Manager's Report. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you at the council meeting.
Oh, glad to.
Again, the City Council meeting is this Tuesday, January 27th at 6 p.m. You can watch it live on City Cable 10 or on our website, oshkoshcommunitymedia.org. You can also listen to it at 101.9 WOCT, which is also now online, and on the TuneIn Radio app for mobile devices. Make sure you like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter for all your community and government programming and updates, or check out our YouTube channel for government meeting replays and past episodes of your favorite programs. Don't forget, State of the City is coming up on March 23rd, so mark your calendars and come on down to the Oshkosh Convention Center at 6 p.m., March 23rd, Monday, 2015, for a night with your city departments. Get to know your city departments a little better, as well as the annual address by your city manager, Mark Roloff. Don't forget, if you have a question for City Manager Mark Roloff, send it to questionmark@ci.oshkosh.wi.us, and he'll answer it on the next episode of City Manager's Report. Thanks again for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.